The following program is presented by the HTM Podcast Network.
Welcome to another episode of Turnbuckle Talk in partnership with thechairshot.com, presented by the Hitting the Marks Podcast Network and in association with NDPW.com. Turnbuckle Talk is sponsored by collarandelbowbrand.com, where you get 10% off when using promo code JKPodcast. Turnbuckle Talk is also partnered with Phoenix at FNXFit.com, where you get 15% off all your health supplements simply by using promo code TBTalkPod. Follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter by searching at TB Talk Pod. Listen on Podbean, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere you catch your favorite programs. And now, pro wrestling fanatics, are you ready? Here are your hosts, Mighty Joe Morin and Karl Karufel.
I am Karl Karufel, and I am joined by my broadcast partner here, Mighty Joe Morin, and this is Turnbuckle Talk. We have an amazing episode out for you guys today. Normally around this time of the year, everyone is doing their best of, worst of, whatever types of programs. We're not going to do that. What we're going to do this year is something super simple and quick for everyone and give you what you want, our regular show. So, WWE, meh. Ring of Honor, where they been? Impact Wrestling, they're making some good partnerships. All Elite Wrestling holding steady with said partnerships. And New Japan Pro Wrestling, freaking fantastic. There we go. That's 2020 in a nutshell when it comes to everything for professional wrestling. Right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over to the curator of topics, our buddy right over there, Mighty Joe Morin.
Yes, thank you, Karl. And this is our last episode of 2020. It's episode 199. It's very, we didn't plan it this way, Karl. It's our last episode of the hundreds, and it's happening right at the very end of 2020. Everything just lined up for that to happen. I don't know why. So,
no, super good. I that's fine.
And to start off this week here, though, Karl, we do have to unfortunately start off on a sad note. Jon Huber, better known as Luke Harper, and Brodie Lee, we did lose him very abruptly the other day. And what I want to do is I'm going to pull up a picture. What I think is a very nice picture in this case here. And I'm going to play some audio, and then we're going to talk about Mr. Jon Huber. So we're going to mute our microphones, and then we're going to listen to this story here.
It's cool to me and I hold on to so much stuff from my wrestling that I have the card from when I wrestled Undertaker. I have posters. I have all the posters we've been on. I have all my figures. And I have them not for me, but someday I maybe want to hand them to my son and say, hey, here. And if he wants it or not, but I've been given the opportunity to give that to him. And he's one of the biggest fans in the world. So for him to be able to see what I've done and the person that it's made me, I can't really describe it. It's I guess if I had a goal in life, it was to be as good a dad as my dad. And I think I'm on my way. And I guess for me to be able to do that, it's super special. As much as you want to talk about like Jon Huber as a person, Huber Boy 2, Brodie Lee, Luke Harper are all Jonathan Huber, and I'm that because of those three personalities, I guess. And professional wrestling made me what I am. It's very powerful.
So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. A little tribute and a 10-bell salute to Mr. Jon Huber. This one was pretty. This one was very emotional here, Karl. I can't really remember the last time that I've seen such an outpouring of emotion and feelings and memories for an individual in the professional wrestling business that's passed away. I wasn't aware that he had so many friends and so many connections in professional wrestling here, Karl. And boy, I mean, like, I have a lot of wrestling connections on Facebook, and I mean, I think literally every single person posted something about this. I cannot remember the last time that has happened, Karl.
Me either, to be honest with you. It was very beautiful to see. I mean, the entire thing just 100% shocking, but just really amazing to see. And kind of what I hope is that all of these people that did show their outpouring of love, I hope that they did that for him in real life and showed him that, and not just in these unfortunate circumstances did that happen. But just amazing. I just want to, we're at the end of the year, so I just want to thank first, our friends over at the Signature Spot. They did something here, and I screenshot it so that I could read it off here. And they said, let's take a moment to pay our respects to those we lost from the professional wrestling community in 2020. So, Pampero Firpo, Rocky Johnson, Howard Finkel, Shad Gaspar, Hannah Kimura, Mr. Wrestling 2, Kamala, Bullet Bob Armstrong, Road Warrior Animal, Tracy Smothers, Pat Patterson, Zeus, Kevin Green, Danny Hodge, and Jon Huber, Brodie Lee.
Yeah, a lot of significant names in there, Karl, and just adding already to a very stressful year. There are some significant names, and not to take anything away, but those were a lot of important individuals as well. But I mean, Sir Jon Huber, I mean, wow, like he was clearly loved by everybody, and from what I have seen, especially in doing the research for this episode, devoted father, an amazing father, and really. I have to give him props. An amazing human being, and not only great in the wrestling ring, but being a dad and a human being as well. So it's, man, this guy, it's sad, Karl, and he's around our age too. That was the part that was so sad about it. I think he's only a year older than myself.
Yes.
Oh man, it's tough. And but I mean, he'll be remembered, and all of his stuff is on the WWE Network and a lot of his independent work. I mean, you can. If you want to go catch any of his matches, it's not too difficult to find. And man, he was good. And,
he definitely was. And I mean, even today, if you were to go onto Twitter or Instagram or any of those social media platforms and just take a look, just hashtag Jon Huber, like you can see all the independent work that he did. And you can see stuff from the WWE, and you can see stuff from everywhere that he's really had an impact on. You can definitely see all of that because the people that shared those times with him are posting those onto those social media platforms. So definitely you want to see some different things, just short little video clips of how people remember, then go and take a look at those. Yeah,
for sure. And I know hopefully we did some justice here as well. All right, Karl, let us move on to our next topic here this weekend. This is actually as per listener suggestion, and it's going to come up actually a few times in this episode. And we are talking about the... let me change that. We disappeared there. There we go. All right. We're talking about Thunder Rosa versus Serena Deeb for the NWA Women's Championship. This was on the United Wrestling Network, which is a partnership with the NWA. Karl, did you have a chance to check out this match? I hope so.
Oh yes, I did.
This, just in general, before we get into some of the details here, this is how women's professional wrestling should be. Put in the simplest terms, this is good female professional wrestling. Wow.
Now, was this the most spectacular matchup of all of women's professional wrestling history? No. Definitely it was not. But given what we've been seeing lately from women's professional wrestling, especially from the larger companies, whether it be WWE, whether it be All Elite Wrestling even, the NWA with their women's division has been freaking phenomenal and fantastic. Yeah. Both of these women have both been in the business a very, very long time. Serena Deeb was a female trainer at the Performance Center with the WWE for a while as well. I mean, the two of them, wow, like it literally blew my mind watching this matchup going, this is how women's professional wrestling should be right now. And unfortunately, it's not. It's a lot more of just tits and ass being shaken in the ring and putting people through announce tables every single freaking week. Not professional wrestling. This was professional wrestling.
Yeah, it was really a treat to watch, especially if you're somebody like myself that really likes the in-ring aspect of professional wrestling. I mean, these two, they work so well together. There's an ongoing rivalry that's being, supported, and it's being done the right way. This is a feud or rivalry, whatever you want to call it, that could be done for years. I mean, these two are absolutely fantastic. Even if they wanted to tag team, there's just so much that you could do and pull from. And the only downside here, Karl, is that there aren't fans in attendance live to enjoy this and to add a little bit more to the atmosphere. That's the only thing. It doesn't fall flat. With almost any other two, currently it might fall flat. These two still made it good for what it is. That's my only takeaway. And the negative aspect of things is that we just didn't quite have that atmosphere in the arena, but they make up for it to the commentary team on the show. It was really well done, and like I said, just the two in the ring made it. If this would have been really any other two, it probably wouldn't have been as good in this case. But I can't speak any more highly of this. It was fantastic. This is something that I think that a lot of other women, especially in the quote-unquote top company, need to take some tips and some pointers from this match. This is how you do it.
See, I kind of have to disagree with you a little bit. Okay. You say here that if it had been any other two, that I think if it had been either one of these ladies with someone else, I think it would have been fantastic. Yep. Because both Serena Deeb and Thunder Rosa both can hold their own. They can help anyone else that's inside of that ring. They can make the matches 10-star if they have to. So I think if it had been Thunder Rosa versus someone else, still would have been amazing. Serena versus someone else, still would have been amazing. Yep. And you talked about the rivalry that can happen between these two. I think we're going to continue to see a rivalry because we had Serena Deeb with the championship, losing it to Thunder Rosa. Spoiler alert, in this match, Thunder Rosa loses it back to Serena Deeb. Yep. So they're really playing on that whole give and take aspect of the professional wrestling with the championship, which is bloody amazing. And I am excited to see what's going to come with these two over the next little while.
And what I like too is that the championship belt. I'm still old school. I like to call it a belt. It looks like an old school women's professional wrestling belt. It's not the same size as the men's. It's not a Velcro belt. This is an actual women's professional wrestling title belt. And in the middle, they even like have the spot for like the picture of the current champion. Just it's classy, and I really dig it. And alongside this too, if you're somebody out there that's looking for some really high level women's professional wrestling, and you're not getting it where you're at, especially in WWE right now, the two best venues that I can suggest for you is on the Japanese side of things over in Stardom. Go and check them out. They have a lot of free content on YouTube, and they do have a subscription service very similar to New Japan. They're actually in partnership with New Japan Pro Wrestling, and their subscription is actually fairly inexpensive and well worth the money. And Women of Wrestling, if you haven't had a chance to check them out, some of the best are coming up through there. I mean, even Piper's daughter Teal, Piper's been working with them, and they have some top-notch trainers there as well. They're really kind of grooming the upcoming newer blood coming through women's professional wrestling. So for those of you who are maybe a little down and think that there isn't any good women's professional wrestling around, there actually is quite a bit. You just need to to dig a little bit. But boy, is it ever there. And I'm glad to see that it's still alive and good, because it's not so much in some other places.
That's right.
All right, so going along with women's professional wrestling, and you had actually made a brief hint to it. It was almost a segue, mentioning TNA here, Karl. But I'm actually going to pull her back up, because I think it really does kind of help illustrate the point here. And we are talking breast augmentation in women's professional wrestling. This is something that I've thought about bring up as a topic on previous episodes, but we've gone 199 episodes, Karl, without talking about breast augmentation in professional wrestling. I'm amazed that we never actually touched on it. But I thought I would put Serena's picture up because if you remember back in her time in WWE with the Straight Edge Society with CM Punk, she was actually somebody who's very underutilized in that role. Even back then, she was an excellent talent in the ring. But just visually, the difference, I can't really put it side by side here, but she had big breasts, Karl. It's about the best way I can put it on this program. And now she looks a lot more kind of athletic and just more of like just an average looking woman, especially in that kind of area. Yep. And it's interesting, Karl, because we're seeing a bit of a trend going back in this direction. Charlotte, we had mentioned, I think actually last week, she had her implants removed. What's your take on this? I'm curious. Do you like just the kind of more like the natural kind of look, or is the breast augmentation approach something that's a little bit more up your alley?
I think it really all boils down to a creepy old Vince McMahon who likes to look at tits.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Right? I mean, you take a look at a lot of the other promotions that are out there. They're not really... a lot of the other promotions aren't putting a focus on a women's testicular region. Mm-hmm. Right? Like let's be honest here. That is a focus within the WWE. And because it is entertainment. So Vince McMahon wants to have the most beautiful, luxurious looking women, the blonde hair, blue-eyed, big-breasted, small, tiny waist type of person, right? Yeah. Like that's what he's looking for in a woman. And then in the guys, he's looking for like the Braun Strowmans, those big, strong, muscular type of guys, right? Yeah. And I think unfortunately that's what it boils down to is that these women are Vince is kind of the company. I'm not just specifically saying Vince. The company is kind of pushing that entertainment level and saying, "Hey, we need you to look like this." Right? And then so these women are kind of going, well, okay, if I want to get that brass ring that's up there somewhere, maybe I need to go and do this. And then they go and do it, and then after a while they start to damage, they start to deteriorate, they start to break because of falls on the mat and stuff. And then they have to get them removed. And then are you going to continue to put yourself through that, or are you finally going to say, hey, enough's enough here. I did this for you for a while. Like, let's talk about things here, right? Mm-hmm. I think really that's what it all boils down to. I would rather see a natural person going out there and giving me a good professional wrestling match than to see a plastic Barbie doll out there giving me a little shake and dance inside of the ring.
Yeah, I agree with you. And, obviously it can be visually appealing in the other side of things, and I do get that. But alongside that, I mean, not only with the health risks, I mean, especially, this is a very physical profession that we're dealing with in professional wrestling. If you were to land on those, I mean, there's a potential there for internal injury. And as well, I mean, and we see this in other sports like tennis and stuff like that, where there's been some talents, there's been some athletes that have been large-breasted, and they've had to actually have them reduced to internet outrage. But it's it's something that, quite frankly, gets in the way with a lot of them, especially ones that are a little bit more larger than usual. It gets in the way of what they're trying to do. Whether it be in the wrestling ring, whether it be on a tennis court, whether it be on a bowling lane, whether it be on an ice hockey rink, you name it. It's something that just physically kind of gets in the way. And I would prefer just a natural look. But again, too, I mean, if you're somebody who's naturally big-breasted, you may want to get them reduced just because it can get in the way of your profession, quite frankly. Like I said,
not even just the profession, but daily life itself. I mean, I know of women who have had their breasts reduced because it was putting strain on their front. It was putting strain on their back. It was just physically detrimental to them, so they had to get their breasts reduced. It's part of life.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is, right? And so for their own health and their own safety and for their own comfort to go through their life, not even just professionally, but just life itself, they had to get them reduced.
Yeah. This is a topic that we'll likely have to revisit, Karl. I think, once we get into the new year, we're going to have to maybe reach out to a female wrestling talent if we all can, or just a woman in the business, and revisit this topic to kind of get the feminine take on this, because
Sure.
I'm curious to see kind of what their take is on it as well.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely be revisiting that, I think. All right, man, let us shift over to a little bit more WWE stuff. We probably won't spend a lot of time on this topic, but I thought I would mention it because it's kind of a little curious to me, at least. We're talking the Christmas edition of Smackdown, and they did some relatively high numbers here, Karl, for the first half of the show. Pretty much they did close to 4 million viewers, and then in the second part of the program it dipped down to just above 2 million. So I think they averaged at just under like 3.5 or close to 4 million. Was this likely just due to the fact that everybody's at home and it just happened to be something that everybody ended up watching?
I think it was due to spoiler, as well as maybe skewed numbers.
Yeah,
I don't know. But that's, I mean, to go from 1 million on an average to 3.5, close to 4 million on one specific day, there's got to be something there that that contributed to that. But I mean, I honestly don't know. My hope is that it was because of Big E. Right? Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Smackdown, the ending of Smackdown saw Big E winning the Intercontinental Championship. And it was a taped show, so people knew about it. Fantastic. Love it.
Yep.
And I think that's probably why people tuned in, because they didn't say when it was happening on the show. They only said, it only showed that it was happening. Right? So whoever these journalists were that were putting out these spoilers were very good at keeping that little bit of suspense, minus a few. I did find a few that said exactly when things happened, but for the majority, they did not. So because of that, I think people are thinking Big E won the Intercontinental Championship from Sami Zayn. I have to watch this. So they tuned in at the beginning. And then as the time progressed, people kind of fell away going, I know it happened, whatever now.
Yeah,
right?
they still managed to stay above the 2 million mark, which is also very interesting. But I mean, even just when you look at internet wrestling community and some of the other kind of journalists, quote unquote, this is WWE's back on the rise. They're doing fantastic now, and this is going to be great. We're turning in the right direction. This is one show.
Yeah.
Let's be realistic. This is one program. Right? When you look back into the real kind of heyday of wrestling, I mean, we had a lot higher numbers than this. So I mean, this is by no means everything is fixed now. Everything's okay with WWE. By no means, folks. And so I mean, quite frankly, I think this was just people who are fans of WWE happen to be at home. It's Christmas time. They put the TV on and they happen to tune in. I think it's an anomaly in the ratings, and I'm not reading too much into it, honestly, at this point. I mean, not to take anything away from Big E's winning the Intercontinental title. I think that was fantastic. Long overdue, personally, in my opinion.
Yes.
I mean, he should be up higher. I've actually said before that I felt that he should have broken away from the New Day and have gone on a run by himself, because I mean, he is more than capable of having a good run near the top. Maybe not like world champion for like long term kind of run, but I mean, he's somebody who could be a disruptor at the higher level. And I always felt that even when he was in NXT. So
it should have been a long time ago.
Yeah, but at least he did get to that point. So
yes.
Interested to see kind of what they'll continue to do with him. And Smackdown, even though it's 4 million views, it still really doesn't quite have me interested. There wasn't really enough outside of that to really pique my interest. So
unfortunately,
nothing against Smackdown. But all right, man. So let us. We got one more topic before we take a bit of a brief break here. Let us talk. This is an interesting one here, Karl. And I'll pull this up, and we are talking about WWE and Impact Wrestling, because why I have them side by side here is there are a fair amount of Impact talents that their contracts are getting ready to expire, and that WWE have their eyes on. All right, so I'm pulling up the list. I screenshot this as I was coming up with the topics here, and these are the names that they are apparently interested in. Okay, so we're talking Taya Valkyrie right at the very top. Right, logical choice. Moose, I think, would be a fantastic one. Rosemary would be absolutely fantastic, especially in the NXT side of things. I think she would be a great addition to that women's roster there. Rhino back in WWE again. I don't know about that one. Willie Mack, I would prefer to see him kind of stay. He is very good at where he's at. Rich Swann, I would say probably not, because they would forget about him. Jordan Grace is an interesting one, possibly. Kira Hogan, I would like to see her maybe in NXT. She could be interesting there. So some interesting names, especially I think Taya Valkyrie and Rosemary are the two ones that stand out to me on that list that I could see them very actively pursuing.
I definitely could too. My only issue is that if they were to do Taya Valkyrie and Rosemary, that they're just going to get lost in absolutely everything, even in NXT. And I don't want to see that.
No.
They are the focus right now of Impact Wrestling.
Yeah.
They are. In the women's division, they're the focus right now. Jordan Grace, kind of mid side now. Kira Hogan, same thing. She's more of like the mid side of things, but I mean those other two, Valkyrie and Rosemary, are at the top of the top at Impact Wrestling right now.
Yeah.
So I don't want to see them go to NXT because they're just going to get lost and they're not going to get used properly. Willie Mack, definitely I do not want to see Willie Mack go to NXT because he has a good thing going. People are starting to know the name Willie Mack.
Yeah.
If he goes to WWE or NXT, he's going to get used improperly, and that name is going to go. Okay, I'm going to put it this way.
Yep.
All of those names that you mentioned, I don't want to see them go to the WWE.
No.
I would rather, if their contracts are up, let them re-sign with Impact, move to New Japan, maybe if they want a lighter schedule, do some stuff with the NWA.
Mm-hmm.
Or you take a collection of these people that their contracts have expired, and you start some little faction that can go to AEW because AEW seems to be pretty high on the factions. So then you kind of use Impact and AEW both to pay these people. So they're contracted pretty much under both companies. You know what I'm saying?
That's interesting, yeah.
Like I could definitely see something like that happening. And would I rather that? Yes, I definitely would. I love Rhino. I do. But Rhino's got to stay in Impact Wrestling so that we can continue everything that's happening with him and Heath.
Yeah. I agree.
I don't want to see that fail. Heath Slater is an amazing talent. He really is. I've always enjoyed watching him work. And to see him, doing some stuff with Impact, I want that to continue. So Rhino's got to stay there, even if they don't become a tag team or do anything like that, just so that Heath gets in there, right? Because man, he's got kids.
He does.
He's got kids.
He's got kids. Yeah. Yep. And and that's always seems to be that trend. Like, I mean, like almost literally like every other site. I don't mean to throw I don't want to throw everybody under the bus on this, but it's like whenever there's talent available, it's like, okay, who's going to WWE? It's like every single time I see in the article, it's like, why are we just talking about that? Why are we not talking about Ring of Honor? Why we're not talking about Impact or AEW? There's a lot of other companies out there. This United Wrestling thing that's starting to become more in the forefront. I mean, it doesn't always have to be that company.
You see that? You mentioned Ring of Honor. Where have they been?
Where
as I mentioned at the beginning, where have they been? Like it didn't even come to my mind to think of any of these guys going over to Ring of Honor right now.
They've actually been doing some stuff. I mean, Final Battle happened not too long ago. They've just been kind of silently kind of operating in the background, and their products is actually really good right now. They're doing the Empty Arena show is actually pretty good with them. They pull it off well, as opposed to the New Japan America thing, which hasn't really quite caught on yet, but I'm not ready to give up on it yet. But yeah, Ring of Honor's there. They're just kind of just below the surface there.
For guys like you and I mean, we definitely know that that it's there, and I'm sure you watch just as I do. I definitely do. But yeah, for the mainstream, right? Like for a while, it was talked about WWE and Ring of Honor might be competition for them, and Impact might be competition, and like all of these different companies were talked about. Oh, they could be competition for, and now you really don't mainstream hear about them anymore. So a lot of people are kind of dumbfounded about where they can see and stuff like that, right? So it's kind of
Yeah, but so I'll be curious to see where they end up, or even better yet, to see them stay right where they're at, because Impact, they need to keep going, and I just hate to see them kind of go on a downturn again, because it's like with Impact, it's like a roller coaster with this company. So I'd like to see them kind of level out a little bit. All right, man, let us take a bit of a brief break here, and we are going to come back with our Match of the Week segment, and then followed by that with our Showstopper segment. So let's take a brief break and hear from our friends over at collarandelbowbrand.com.
Wrestling. A love and a passion we all share. I've started a wrestling brand. The wrestling brand. A brand founded on the aspects of wrestling. Two entities working together to create a product that connect emotionally for people everywhere. Collar and Elbow is the brand. Passion and love for wrestling is the drive. I am Al Snow, and this is Collar and Elbow, the wrestling brand.
The dictionary defines hero as a person who is admired or idealized for courage, outstanding achievements, or noble qualities. Being a hero in life is far more than words printed on a page. It takes an unwavering code, a compass that points true north, always. And in times like these, it takes sacrifice. Hero shouldn't be a word defined by a dictionary. It's a word that should be defined by the best of us. hero has a new definition.
All right, guys. I almost said Big Joe again. I'm still getting used to the name change. Thanks, Jaro, for changing my name, damn it. No, but yeah, Mighty Joe and Karl Karufel back here on Turnbuckle Talk. And as you heard from our friend Mr. Al Snow, make sure and go and check out collarandelbowbrand.com. And while you're there, make sure and use promo code JKPodcast to get 10% off your entire order there. They have so much great apparel and hats and shirts and stuff there. I mean, it is ridiculous. They have so much good stuff here. If you're looking for a gift, well, we're done with Christmas now, but if there's some birthdays coming up and you have a professional wrestling fan in your family, this is a perfect gift.
Oh, yes, definitely is. And make sure that promo code, again, JK Podcast, you're going to get 10% off your entire order, whether it is new merchandise or clearance merchandise that they have as well. So go and check them out. collarandelbowbrand.com.
Absolutely. Okay, Karl, let us go to our Match of the Week segment. All right, man, since this is our last episode of 2020, I figured we'd do something a little bit different. And I thought we would do kind of our match of this week, and then since it's the last episode of the year, we do our match of the year. We normally, traditionally on Turnbuckle Talk, we've done like a best and worst of throughout the entire episode, but we didn't do that this week. But we are going to just do this one thing here. But before we get to the match of the year, what was your match of this past week, Karl? Because I have a sneaking suspicion that maybe we got the same pick.
I didn't even pick a match of the week. I was focused on match of the year, to be honest with you.
No worries. Well, I'll pick my match of the week.
Okay.
All right, man. And it actually was the match that we talked about earlier. We're talking Serena Deeb versus Thunder Rosa for that NWA Women's Championship match, or belt, sorry. If you haven't had a chance to watch that, like we had mentioned, just women's professional wrestling at its finest, just go watch it. If you're thinking about it right now, just after the podcast is done, go and watch it. Just do yourself a favor and go and watch it. So, match of the year, though. What do you have for your match of the year here, Karl? I have a feeling that you got a good one.
It happened recently.
Yep.
And to be honest, for me, anyways, personally, this was maybe not the best worked match, but for me, the most interesting and emotional for me, anyways. And I'm talking Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega for the AEW Championship. Just amazing. I mean, considering that I've met both of these guys, I've seen both of these guys work live on the Chris Jericho Cruise. You can still book a spot in reserve.
Yep.
ChrisJerichoCruise.com. Go and check that out. Yeah, I mean, I just for me emotionally, anyways, like it was just fantastic. Having, like I said, met both of these guys, talked with both of these guys, everything was just amazing. John, how are you? Good to see you. Thank you for stopping by. Right now we're talking, I don't know how long you've been on here, John, but right now we're talking our match of the year. And for me, anyways, my match of the year, I'm talking about Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega. Emotional. Just emotional for me for those reasons. The match itself was good, was great as well. Like, don't get me wrong, it definitely was a good match, but just on an emotional level, that was it. Mighty Joe, what's yours?
I have a feeling you already know what mine is going to be, and some of our regular listeners and viewers will likely know as well. As you had mentioned, emotional matches, and this definitely falls into that category. We are talking the final for the Best of Super Juniors from New Japan Pro Wrestling, El Desperado versus Hiromu Takahashi. Oh my goodness. Again, this is another one. If you have not watched it, go subscribe to New Japan World if you haven't already, and go and watch this match. I believe they even have it separated as its own separate match that you can watch just by itself. And I mean, just talk about an emotional match and just great storytelling in that ring. And just that, again, that moment when El Desperado takes his own mask off and stares down Hiromu and says, okay, now it's on like Donkey Kong, and we're going to find out who. I mean, these guys literally threw like everything at each other and couldn't beat each other until that very end. I mean, just absolutely fan-friggin-tastic. My match of the year, and I even said it may be my match of the decade. It's that good. So that's some pretty high praise there, I think.
Oh, definitely it is.
So yeah, some good stuff there, man. And just outside of that too, we could probably spend a whole episode talking other standout matches. There definitely were a lot of them, but for me, that one ranks right at the top. And yours is good, really good too. They did a really good job with that match in AEW, and it's kind of branched out to some other stuff with Kenny over in Impact, and now potentially Moxley with some other stuff if he can get over to Japan possibly. So yeah, they have an opportunity to really have some good branching storylines going on there, because they've been suffering a little bit on that on the AEW side, but there's an opportunity there to really kind of build on that. So curious to see if they can capitalize.
I hope so.
The timing isn't all that great given what's going on, but I'm hoping that they can kind of turn it around. Okay, so let us. No, we're not going to take another break, but we're going to go to our Showstopper segment here, and here we go. All right, so for our Showstopper segment this week, it's kind of an easy one. Again, we're wrapping up the year that is 2020 for our podcast. 199 episodes. I could just to kind of briefly kind of look back here, Karl. It's been quite the journey. Where we started from just being wrestling fans to now we are one episode away from reaching a milestone that not too many podcasts get to, and I'm very proud of what we've done so far. It's had its ups and downs, just like with everything else. But damn, it feels good to still be going strong.
It has been honestly struggle after struggle after struggle after struggle, but then win after win after win after win. And it has been, like you said, up and down, but 200 episodes.
Yeah.
Lots of other podcasters don't even get to like 50 episodes. So for us to now be embarking onto 200 episodes is honestly mind-blowing.
Yep.
And we have to say that's 200 episodes when we went out on our own.
Yeah.
So before that, we had maybe 35, 40 that we did with the with Energy Rock Radio.
Yep.
Which is an internet radio broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
They had us for a while, and then we just went independent. And since going independent, we've done 199 episodes, but next week we will be doing our 200th episode. Mighty Joe, do you want to talk about that 200th episode at all?
I do briefly, but I do want to touch a little bit more on kind of our history a little bit. Going back even a little bit further before you and I started doing Turnbuckle Talk, I want to make sure and absolutely mention this. Starting off, that this show wasn't originally called Turnbuckle Talk. It was originally called The Wrestling Recap, that I was the co-host on, and our friend Kyle Espenscheid, Mustang Man, who is no longer with us. That is where this program really had its roots and started. And then unfortunately, when Kyle passed away, I kind of took over the reins and then brought you on, and it's flourished and it's expanded since then. And I mean, just along the way, the people that we've met, actual wrestlers, actual talent, and then with Ryan K. Bowman at the grill position, Mr. Melkor, and then the Rick and Jargo, the HTM. I mean, that's just to name a few of the individuals. And then, the kind of stuff that really kind of, as content creators, I'm sure everybody kind of gets these moments. It's just, you're like, well, why are we still doing this? And then, you get these moments. Like the other day when we got an inbox on our Facebook page, Mr. Javier, Javier Ost, I believe is his name, how it's pronounced, and just saying, that I've been watching you guys for a long time, and you guys do a really good job. And even just something like that happens, and it just kind of reminds you again of why we continue this. When you get somebody just completely out of the wild saying, hey, I enjoy what you guys do, and it reminds us of why we enjoy doing what we do. Little stuff like that, and like I said, and just the friends and the partnerships that we've met and established along the way. That's been absolutely incredible, and it's something that I didn't really kind of anticipate going into it. Just the connections and the people inside, right? And getting to talk to some people, especially some of the wrestlers, and going and getting on a first name basis with some of these people. It's dude, like it's wow, it's a lot to
especially when you call Teddy Long's hotline number and he answers the phone.
That was one of the best. Right?
Yeah. Just simply amazing. Definitely amazing. right? And then names like Jeff Jarrett calling us. I can't remember where he was.
I remember.
Where was he?
I believe he was in Knoxville, and he was coming out of the gym.
Tennessee, yes.
Tennessee.
And yeah. So he's coming home from the gym, and then he's in Tennessee, and it starts snowing in Tennessee, and he goes, and I think we were still live going with him at the time when he says, it must be because you Canadians, it's snowing in Tennessee. After he left the gym, called us on Skype while driving, and he just got home, pulled into his driveway, and to tell us that it is snowing because he's talking to a bunch of Canadians. It was like, wow.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you had mentioned, Teddy. I believe it's still the case when you call his personal phone. He has like an answering service. And it picks up exactly like you would expect with Teddy. We mentioned before, Teddy isn't a character in professional wrestling. Teddy is just that's just him, and it's absolutely fantastic. Talking with him, meeting our friend Jazzy. I'd almost be afraid to list everybody. I'm be afraid of forgetting somebody. So
right,
it's been absolutely fantastic. And you had mentioned episode 200. That's going to be happening on January 4th. The same day as the day one of New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom show. So that's going to be a busy day, followed by another day of New Japan Pro Wrestling. So we're going to have. It's going to be a full house, right? So we're talking Mr. Ryan K. Bowman, Mr. Melkor, working with the OVW, and Rick and Jargo, and we should be having Spencer Love as well on top of us. So
that's right.
It's going to be one hell of an episode. And essentially what we're going to do is everybody's pitching in a topic, and we're going to do a roundtable discussion. And I'm really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to that.
Oh, me too. I mean, a bunch of guys that we're friends with now because of these connections that we talked about. Yeah. So over the 200 episodes, we've made these connections with these people, and we've become family, is what it is. Whether it's old ones from Ryan Bowman, Papa Bear, and then meeting Mike and Jargo and Rick, and then even recently meeting up with Spencer, and then we've all just become family now, and it's fantastic, and it's going to be so exciting just to sit down and just shoot the shit, just in a nice, easy going setting. That's what we're going to make the 200th episode. We're going to have a little bit of structure like we normally do.
Yep. But
we just want to do something fun with our friends for all of you. So make sure January 4th that you're joining us here on our Facebook. You can find us at TB Talk Pod. Actually, at TB Talk Pod is where you find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. But 100% make sure that you find us on Facebook, or you can find us on YouTube. Just look for the logo. It's there. And we will be doing our broadcast at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, January 4th, on Facebook and on YouTube. We want you guys there as well. We want you guys interacting with us. Use those comment sections and talk with us so that we can be involved with you, our listeners, and our fans.
Absolutely. And in a world of so much negativity in the internet wrestling community, on social media, and on a lot of these reporting sites and whatnot, it's going to be like a big love in this episode. And it's the one thing that kind of brings us all together, a love and a passion for not only talking about professional wrestling, but watching it and whatnot. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a very positive thing, and just in a world of so much negativity going on, we're going to try and bring in some positivity to it as well. So we're just really looking forward to it. And like I said, it's been quite the journey to get to this point, and we're only just getting started.
That's right. 2021 is going to be another great year for us. We said this in 2019 as well. We said that we're going to continue on and strive forward and push forward, and by God, we did. And, now we're coming up to the end of 2020 into 2021, and the sentiment is still the same. We're going to push forward. We're going to continue on, and we're going to continue to bring you these broadcasts, whether we have 2 people watching or whether we have 200,000 people watching. Doesn't matter, because we love this, and we love giving this to you guys. So we're going to continue to do it. That's all there is to it.
Well, since we have a little bit of time left here, Karl, we're talking about looking forward to 2021. What would you like to see out of professional wrestling coming up in the next year?
Oh, back to basics. Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing, and we're seeing that a little bit with like the NWA. Okay, they're going back to basics. I don't think that we really need to have all this over the top theatrical shit that's been happening. I just want to see back to basics, good, classic professional wrestling. Give me 70s and 80s style professional wrestling. I'm happy with that. And I know that it's going to be super hard because of, that dead lady K, her last name's what, Fabe? Yeah, Fabe, right? Because she's dead, right? It's going to be hard to kind of do that. But if enough people kind of get on board and suspend their disbelief just for a little bit, which is what professional wrestling should be anyways, a time for you to relax, sit back, suspend your disbelief, and just let go. Yeah. Right. And that's what I want to see it get back to.
I think you really hit the nail on the head with that, Karl, because especially with right now, we can't operate as we normally would with professional wrestling. And I think we're trying to force a lot of this theatrical stuff. And, when we're trying to manufacture, especially in the WWE side of things, with the fake crowd audio and whatnot, we can only really work with the basics right now. So just focus on that and make that really strong. I think you nailed it perfectly. While we're still dealing with these restrictions, let's go with that approach, and then once we can get an audience back into these arenas and these stadiums, then we could start going more with the other aspects of it. But like you said, back to the basics, I agree 100% with that. That's the right approach.
Even after this whole plandemic, fake-demic, whatever you want to call it, after all these restrictions and whatever are taken off and fans do get back into the arenas, I don't want to see it change back. I don't want to see it go back to this theatrical crap, this pandering to the hard camera all the time. Like, cut that shit out. Cut it out. Just give me good professional wrestling. That's all I want. And I think that you'll notice the fans, if you just start going out there and giving some good professional wrestling, including a little bit of good, like, hardcore once in a while type of matches, right? Because everybody kind of loves that every once in a while. So we're going to have to include stuff like that. Getting back just to those simple basics, and even like a strap match, right? Or a bull rope match or something like that, right? Is gonna that small little thing that's gonna bring people in. Right, and it's gonna entice them, and then more people are gonna want to start to watch, and then more people are gonna come to the shows because they want to see that live now. It's basic, simple, back to basics.
I agree 100%. All right, man. Well, before we wrap up for this week, anything else you want to plug before we head on out?
I just want to make sure that everybody continues to follow us on our social media. Like I said, we're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at TB Talk Pod. We do have a YouTube channel as well. It's a super long, strung out letters, numbers, characters, whatever. Just go there, type in Turnbuckle Talk Podcast or Turnbuckle Talk, and look for the logo. There it is, and you'll be able to find it. Subscribe to that, click that notification bell so that every time that we start a live video, you're going to get notified for it, and it definitely will help us out, whether it's a click on any of the social media or the YouTube page. And I don't want to forget about our friends over at Collar and Elbow brand. They have been fantastic with us. We are the first Collar and Elbow brand sponsored podcast, and fantastic for that. Al Snow, Rod, guys, thank you so much for everything that you've been doing. And they've even been helping out so much with the Fallen Stars that we've talked about during this episode as well. They've made some custom shirts for them, and proceeds from those shirts have been going to the families. So we want to make sure that everybody supports that. We do have one other sponsor. If you're into fitness and you're into health supplements, go and check out fnxfit.com. Company's called Phoenix, FNX, but it's fnxfit.com is the website that you go to. check out the great stuff they have there, from protein powder to shakers to shirts to hats to workout gear to stuff to help you sleep, stuff to keep you motivated, all these different great supplements. Super greens, I love those super greens. The dragon fruit, fantastic. I love it. Go and check them out as well. fnxfit.com. Use promo code TBTalkPod and you'll get 15% off your entire purchase there as well. So we don't want to forget about them. They do great stuff over there, and we're happy to include them as well. So go and check out fnxfit.com, promo code TBTalkPod, 15% off.
Absolutely. And even if you're just on Google, if you type in Turnbuckle Talk, this is where sometimes I have to pinch myself sometimes to realize when what we're doing is really real and really happening. When you type in Turnbuckle Talk, even in incognito mode in Google, our stuff shows up right at the very top, like pictures and past episodes and whatnot. So even if you're there, that's an easy way to find us as well. So some cool stuff there. All right, man, that is it for 2020. That is it for episode 199, and we'll be back next week with our 200th episode, and we'll see you then on the next one.
It's me. It's an honor to be the beat. As you can tell in the background, we are out celebrating. That is what we do here at hittingthemarks.com. And I invite everyone to continue to tune in to Turnbuckle Talk, but check out all of our other shows. You can find that all at hittingthemarks.com.
Run.
Thank you.